In the center of the maze, Victor rejoins a pacing Nikki. He tells her he tried to follow Carter until he was rudely interrupted by the Abbotts. Nikki asks about the idea Victor had. Victor admits he's very worried about what's happened to Nick and Sharon. Nikki complains this is like some life-size board game. They agree that Carter seems very odd and almost programmed. Victor wouldn't be surprised if he's involved with Ashby's machinations. Nikki says they can't trust anyone but family. Kyle appears and tells Victor his little game with Audra is up. He's figured out what she's up to and waited for her to make her move. He informs Victor he loves Claire, and his plan to use Audra to compromise him and ruin his relationship didn't work. I would never hurt Claire. Victor has something to tell him if he's done with his spiel. Victor says a killer is walking amongst them. He doesn't give a damn about Kyle's ill-fated romance with his granddaughter right now. Kyle complains that he financed Vibrante in return for Audra seducing him away from Claire. That's a new low even for him. He's bent over backward to prove how much he loves Claire, but he's done. They'll have a future despite his efforts to drive them apart. They'll move in together as soon as they get home, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. Victor growls, "Watch me!" Victor tells Nikki he'll be back and makes his way into the maze. Kyle hopes Nikki wasn't involved in the scheme with Audra, which would devastate Claire. Nikki would never be involved with something so despicable. If it's true, she had no knowledge of it. Kyle argues that Audra wouldn't do this unless something was in it for her. It doesn't take much to put together the pieces. Victor runs into Chance in the maze and tells him Cain has put Nick and Sharon under house arrest. Chance confirms that's not legal. Victor says they have to get them out. He asks Chance to tell Cain that he'll get him. No one does this to him or his family. Chance says Carter, Cain's assistant, claims he was in bed in his quarters during the murder, and a guard came and got him up. The guard told the opposite story. It doesn't add up. Victor thinks Carter is lying to cover up for Cain. Why doesn't that surprise me? In his office, Cain watches the footage of him and Damien sitting on the bench. Amanda walks in and warns him against deleting evidence. He wanted to ask her the same thing. Did she touch the footage? He suggests maybe she was trying to protect her boss, or someone else. Amanda fumes that she wouldn't tamper with evidence, for him or anyone else. It's illegal. If she'd deleted the evidence to help him, that would make her an accomplice to her crime. Who else would she be protecting? Phyllis? Amanda fumes that she would be the last person on that tape. Does he really think that any of these people would risk what they have to rid the world of him? Cain asks, "What do I have to do to convince you? Die?" Amanda asks, he deleted the footage because he stabbed Damien in the back. Cain rails about her thinking this of him. For the last time, I did not murder Damien. They go over the glitch in the footage. Whoever erased it did so to cover up their guilt. If it was Nick, as Cain suggests, he'd have had to know about his surveillance room, find it, and delete the footage. Cain sighs that maybe he's wrong and Nick Newman isn't the killer. Amanda urges him to release Nick and Sharon. She was against this from the beginning and complains about him telling people she advised the measures. Locking them up was very wrong and he needs to release them before it blows up in his face. Cain understands her concern. Amanda will tell security to release them. Cain needs more time. I need to speak to Chance again. He may be able to make this all work out in his favor. In the locked room, Sharon apologizes for panicking. She hates for Nick to see her like that. He tries to get her laughing about one of his old haircuts. She agrees. We have been through a lot. He tells her being there for each other is the most natural thing in the world. Sharon respectfully disagrees. She hasn't had a bad hair day in her life. Turning serious, she tells him the panic was embarrassing for her. Nick thinks it's natural, considering what she's been through. Neither of them deserves this. Sharon is sure this is part of some grander scheme on Cain's part. They need to find a way out of there to stop it. Nick kicks the door a few times and then checks in with Sharon, who is feeling better. She says they need to find something to pick the lock. Nick digs into a chest and they find books and wine. Sharon opens an old photo album with people from the 1900s. The name on the back is De Leon, and Nick wonders if this is the old Chanty de Leon winery. Sharon wonders if Cain bought it from then. Perhaps the maze is sitting on the old vineyard. Nick wonders why Cain would bulldoze a vineyard and go over the hefty expense of everything they've seen there. Nick thinks there has to be something nefarious to Cain making his fortune. He's been away from Lily's positive influence, and under Colin's, God only knows what that's turned him into. Nick is increasingly suspicious about Cain and what he's up to. Out of nowhere, the guy is worth billions. If they can figure out how he did it, maybe they can stop what he has planned. Sharon pulls out a really old bottle of champagne. Nick muses, "Champagne, I've got an idea." Sharon hopes it doesn't involve drinking to pass the time. Nick chuckles and says he has a better idea. He opens the bottle, removing the wire that holds the cork in the bottle to use to pick the lock. Sharon says she and Phyllis picked the lock in the clinic, but it was booby-trapped. He holds up the wire. "Here's your chance again." Sharon gets to work. Audra finds Lily by the fountain in the maze and asks how she's doing after all she's been through. Lily's still in shock about Damien. Audra agrees that it's shocking and tragic. She's worried for Nate and Amy. Lily doesn't even know how they'll tell them. Audra wishes Nate had come with her. So many things would have played out differently. They hear a noise and call out, "Who's there?" Ducking behind a statue, they wait to see who's lurking, whilst calling for them to show their face. Phyllis emerges from behind a hedge and tells Lily and Audra she was just listening in. Lily warns they could have come after her and hurt her. Phyllis smirks and tells them to take a deep breath. She claims eavesdropping is the only way to save their lives at this point and give them a clue to the true identity of the killer. Audra complains about Phyllis eavesdropping for her boss, and Lily gripes about her not believing that Cain killed Damien. Phyllis knows he didn't do it, and Nick's as innocent as Cain. Lily points out there isn't any other suspects. Who, out of them, could possibly be a murderer? Phyllis doesn't know who killed Damien, but they have family and friends who have killed someone before. Lily argues that this is premeditated, and none of them are capable of that. Phyllis says it's for Chance to figure out. She suggests that Audra might have killed Damien to keep him quiet about her closeness with Kyle on the trip. Lily defends Audra. Phyllis is just making a point that if you try hard enough, you can find a motive for anyone. Her theory about Audra is no more absurd than pointing the finger at Cain or Nick. Lily thinks anything is possible where Cain is concerned. She doubts he even sent anyone down the mountain. Cain having his own investigator is strategic. He can manipulate the evidence. Phyllis asks why Cain would do this. Lily says he'd have known Chance would be there with no backup or real power. Phyllis points out he didn't yet know that Damien was a romantic threat. Lily rants about everyone defending Cain, who has been lying to them for years. Phyllis warns she's letting her emotions cloud her intelligence and better judgment. Lily tells Phyllis that she's using this situation to further her career. Audra says they all know that's the only reason she's there. Phyllis is offended. They're accusing her of acting indifferent toward a man's death. She points out that Audra doesn't seem the least bit rattled that there's a murderer amongst them. Audra warns her to back off. Phyllis is sure Lily is devastated over Damien's death and needs someone to blame. Of course she'd want to point the finger at Cain. Lily insists she has no idea what she's talking about. Phyllis asks Lily to really think about this objectively. There's no way Cain is capable of this kind of violence. Audra doesn't like Phyllis, but her logic makes sense. Phyllis asks Lily how she can be suspicious of the father of her children. Lily says the facts lead to one possibility. Phyllis had to ask herself the same thing about Nick. Could the father of your twins have done something like this? In the maze, Chance and Victor go over the discrepancies in Carter's story. Maybe he's the one who's behind all this. Victor muses. Maybe he's willing to kill for his boss. Nikki told him earlier that the assistant was robotic. Maybe he's programmed to kill for Cain so he keeps his hands clean. In the office, Amanda asks Cain what he means by making this work out in his favor. Cain says Victor and Nikki think he's holding Nick as leverage to help him get Chancellor. He wasn't, but if he can parlay holding Victor's son hostage into getting what he wants, that might be worth a try. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Pulse Canvas. It's me, Julie, here. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Keep watching. So let's dive into today's video. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Thursday, July 24th, have Victor and Chance confronting a new suspect, Nick's plan to escape backfiring, and Jack making a tough decision about Billy. Victor has helped solve so many crimes over the years, he should be an honorary member of the Genoa City Police Department. On Thursday's show, watch for Victor to team up with Chance as they confront a new suspect. Victor is not happy that his son, Nicholas, is being held against his will in a dirty room. The mogul will likely go all out as he tries to find Damien's true killer. If he's able to do that, then Cain is more likely to let Nick and Sharon go free. Nick is a man of action, so it won't be surprising on Thursday's show to see him attempt to escape the room that Carter put him and Sharon in. Alas, Nick's plan is going to backfire, which could harm both him and Sharon. Cain may not have the legal right to keep Nick and Sharon or any of his guests his prisoners, but that hasn't stopped him from using his power to keep Nick under lock and key. If Nick's not careful, he may go from being a rescuer to needing some rescuing himself. Fortunately, Nick has some passionate friends and family there with him at Cain's estate. We can see them stepping up and being Nick's hero. Jack loves his brother Billy, but we don't think he likes him very much these days. Jack got out his checkbook earlier this year to pay for Abbott Communications, a new venture for Billy that would give him a purpose. Jack didn't want Billy to focus on the past. Since arriving in Nice, Jack has learned that Billy wants to turn over the day-to-day running of the new venture to Sally. On Thursday's show, watch for Jack to make a tough decision about Billy. Is he going to order Billy to stay on at Abbott Communications, or might he yank his support from the new venture altogether, which could result in Billy spiraling out of control? Amelia Heinleigh's idea for a Victoria romance would have jaws dropping. Victoria has had many love interests on The Young and the Restless. From Ryan to Cole to Billy, she's been with some of Genoa City's handsome men. When it comes to Victoria's next romantic pairing, Amelia Heinleigh has a wild idea. Y&R often likes to go for the shock factor with romantic pairings. Whether it's forbidden lovers or a May-December relationship, the show likes to experiment with different romances. But if they take Heinleigh's suggestion for a Victoria pairing, it'll be jaw-dropping. In a new interview with Michael Fairman TV, the actress revealed which man she'd like to see Victoria with. A true gift for my anniversary would be the fact that maybe Nick and Victoria really aren't related, and they can be together, finally. Heinleigh went on to say the idea is something her and Morrow would love to do. Oh, we've been pushing it for so long, but I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think the audience is ready. While the audience might not be ready, Heinleigh agrees the shock factor would be good for Y&R. It wakes them up a little bit. Everybody was watching Game of Thrones. I'm going to use that as an example because a lot of it was, "What? Wait. Oh my gosh. I can't believe they had this happen." One of the storylines was about a brother and a sister, and it worked for that show. They were one of my favorite couples. Although Victoria and Nick's paternity has always been questioned, it doesn't look like Y&R is going to retcon it. So, Heinleigh won't get her Victoria and Nick romance anytime soon. But if the showrunners decide to pursue the idea, Victoria and Nick going from siblings to lovers would definitely shock fans. Billy and Phyllis teaming up could be the best thing ever, or it could down in flames. Billy is concocting a plan with Phyllis. This could become the best part of this murder mystery plot on The Young and the Restless. The two are determined to prove Cain's innocence, especially since they both want to work with him. This could go either way. It could be the best thing ever, or it could crash and burn. That's the question on everyone's minds. They're not sure if they can trust him, especially since he pulled the wool over their eyes. Cain made everyone think he was this mysterious billionaire named Aristotle Dumas. Now, he's entrapped everyone at his French estate in Nice. It sounds nice on paper, but it's turning into a horror movie. Cain claims that someone is out to kill him. But does he have the right suspects in mind? Damien unfortunately had to die in the hands of the killer, who's still on the loose. Meanwhile, Phyllis and Billy will team up to prove Cain's innocence. They're the only ones who trust him. But are they being easily misled? Besides, Billy and Phyllis are desperate for a new venture. Their desperation could get the best of them. Billy and Phyllis have teamed up in the past, and we know where it went. They've become two people who are guaranteed to crash and burn in Genoa City. Billy and Phyllis have very few successes under their belts. They haven't accomplished much, individually or together. It would be a first if they could prove Cain's innocence and get into business with him. Phyllis claims that she has a winning business idea. Meanwhile, Billy ditched his position at Abbott Communications and gave it to his girlfriend, Sally, who might find herself floundering. But there's one problem with this plan. Billy and Phyllis don't trust each other. Plus, they're their own worst enemies. They suffer from impulsivity and delusions of grandeur. Phyllis should have learned her lesson about working with Billy before. Hopefully, she's just using him and not relying on him like the last time. If not, then they will likely crash and burn together because she will likely take him down with her. What are your thoughts on Phyllis and Billy teaming up? Do you think they'll be able to prove Cain's innocence? Or do you think it'll crash and burn quickly? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. Y&R head writer Josh Griffith recalls his decision to create a murder mystery. The Young and the Restless kicked off the summer with a huge murder mystery storyline. With Genoa City's elite trapped in France with a killer on the loose, the suspense is growing. To come up with the intriguing story, the showrunners drew inspiration from this classic. When Genoa City's elite traveled to France for Aristotle Dumas' party, they were in for a shock. First, Dumas turned out to be Cain, whom most guests were unhappy to see. Unfortunately, none of the guests can leave, and they're stuck at Cain's chalet with danger looming. Cain revealed to Chance that someone was out to kill him. A mystery assailant is on the property, and sadly, Damien became the first victim. With the murder mystery underway, it's captivating fans who are trying to figure out the killer's identity. Y&R has created lots of shock and suspense with this story, which is what head writer Josh Griffith was aiming for. In a new interview with Soap Opera Digest, Griffith discussed the inspiration behind the storyline. "We knew that we had to reintroduce Cain in a big way, as his return would impact so many characters," Griffith explained. The original inspiration for this storyline was Murder on the Orient Express, but as I began plotting the story, I decided that we needed a locale where the characters would be trapped together. So the idea was born to send everyone to Aristotle Dumas' remote chalet. The murder mystery in France is Y&R's big storyline this summer. With everyone still at the chalet and a killer on the loose, more danger could be near. The Young and the Restless, spoilers for Wednesday, July 23rd, suggest some interesting moments on the horizon. Someone drops a truth bomb, while another is not backing down, and a character questions someone's loyalty. What's set to unravel during Wednesday's show? Time to find out. The Young and the Restless, spoilers for Wednesday, July 23rd, reveal that Kyle Abbott is about to drop a major truth bomb on Nikki Newman as she tells him about Victor Newman's deal with Audra Charles. How will Nikki react to this? Will she even care? After all, she has bigger fish to fry with Nick Newman and Sharon Newman on house arrest in Cain Ashby's summer home. Maybe Kyle should read the room better before he goes around spilling secrets. Nikki knows she and Victor have to remain united to help Nick out of his predicament, so she may place Victor's deal with Audra on the back burner for now. Elsewhere in the maze, it looks like Phyllis Summers and Lily Winters will have a face-off. While it sounds like Phyllis will use intimidation to push Lily around, the truth is, Lily will stand her ground where Red is concerned. How ugly will it get between Cain's ex and seemingly his new love interest? Fans will have to tune in to find out. Speaking of Cain, The Young and the Restless, spoilers for Wednesday, indicate that Amanda Sinclair will have questions for her, as she will stumble upon what she believes is him deleting security footage. Yikes! As his lawyer, she may advise that this is a mistake, as it won't be a good look if Chance Chancellor finds out. Meanwhile, added teasers imply that Cain will, in turn, question Amanda's loyalty. Will these two land on the same page after the July 23rd show, or at opposite ends of the fence? Are you pumped about Wednesday's show? Comment below! Is Victor just being used? On the July 23rd episode of The Young and the Restless, Nikki swore to Kyle that she had no idea about Victor and Audra's plan to break up him and Claire. Nikki is horrified and disgusted, and honestly, she doesn't even believe that it's true. But what if Nikki is lying? Nikki has been one of Claire and Kyle's biggest cheerleaders. She thinks their relationship is wonderful, but what if Nikki is only saying this because she doesn't want to upset her newfound granddaughter or the perpetually prickly Victoria? What if Nikki has been saying one thing, but she really feels something else? After all, Kyle had already hurt Nikki's other granddaughter, Summer. Why would Nikki want to live through Act 2 of that? What if Nikki is the brains behind the whole Audra plan? She's the one pulling the strings. But Nikki is smart, and we have to assume, bored. Sure, Victor made her head of Chancellor Industries, but you know he still controls every aspect and decision, meaning Nikki is left to just rubber stamp his edicts. She needs something to keep her mind occupied, which is how she came up with the plan to convince Audra to convince Victor to fund her company, and to earn that honor by breaking up Kyle and Claire. Manipulating Victor has got to be fun for Nikki. After all, she can't possibly adore him as much as she claims to. Nikki knows all the horrible things Victor has done. She can't be that gullible. So why not have some fun? Manipulate Victor, control Audra, and break up Claire and Kyle. All in a day's work, and they all deserve it. We'd already speculated that Spoiler killed Damien. We just had their motive wrong. Thanks to today's episode of Young and Restless, a huge missing piece to the puzzle has been slotted into place. A stunning turn of events in the aftermath of Damien's demise led to Lily pointing the finger at Cain for the murder, and Ashby, in turn, accusing Nick after the murder weapon turned up in his bathroom. Predictably, Nick went on a rage-filled rant about being framed, which caused Cain to order his minions to lock him up. Unfortunately, Sharon, who, not unlike the dagger, was hidden in Nick's bathroom, got caught up in the drama and found herself locked up again for what has to be at least the third time, if not more, in the last 6 months. While Schick appears to be in dire straits, it was their captivity that provided the clue to cracking the case. Whilst searching for something with which to pick the lock on the door, Sharon and Nick made a discovery: an old chest. It contained several bottles of wine, which could have set the scene for a tipsy, Schick reunion, but didn't, and some old photo albums. Upon further examination, Sharon and Nick realized that the photos were from the early 1900s. The family name on the back of the photos was De Leone. Nick wondered if they're at the old Chianti De Leone winery. Presuming that Cain purchased the estate from the De Leone family, Nick and Sharon surmised that the French fam wouldn't have been happy to learn that Ashby had taken a bulldozer to the precious vineyards in order to build a mystery maze. We believe they're correct. We're also guessing that none other than our original suspect, Cain's nerdy, robotic assistant Carter, is a member of the De Leon clan. Thanks to indiscrepancies with Carter's alibi, Victor and Chance were left to wonder if Cain had programmed his assistant to kill on his behalf. Our hunch is that Carter's been programmed by his kinfolk to kill Cain so that they can take back their beloved estate, remove the repugnant hedge maze, and restore the vineyards. Do you think Carter is out to get Cain? Vote! In the upcoming episode of the CBS soap opera, The Young and the Restless, airing on July 24, 2025, Carter is questioned in a tough confrontation, while Nick gets hurt when an escape plan goes wrong. Things are getting more dangerous, and it's clear that no one is truly safe. The focus stays mainly on the mystery surrounding Damien's murder and the trouble Nick and Sharon are facing. Sharon finds a way to unlock the door and escape, but things quickly take a violent turn. At the same time, Jack is forced to make a hard choice about Billy, putting more strain on their relationship. Carter on The Young and the Restless has been under suspicion ever since Damien's mysterious death shocked the Genoa City residents. As doubts grow, Victor and Chance decide it's time to confront him. They corner Carter in a train car and question him. Carter says he's loyal to Cain, but swears he didn't kill Damien or help hide the crime. Still, his answers aren't clear, and his staunch loyalty to Cain only makes Victor and Chance more suspicious of him. They believe the killer is close, and Carter may be intentionally hiding the truth. Nick and Sharon on The Young and the Restless are trapped in a storage room and hoping to escape. When they finally manage to unlock the door, things go wrong fast. As they try to get out, something terrible happens, and Nick ends up getting hurt, possibly by a guard or someone even more dangerous. No one knows for sure who attacked him, but it's clear someone doesn't want them to escape. As Nick starts bleeding from his injury on The Young and the Restless, Sharon does her best to help him, but then Sally shows up unexpectedly and jumps in to help stop the bleeding. She proves she's not just there for support, as she can stay calm and take action in a tough situation. Her arrival brings hope and makes it more likely they'll get through this safely. While Nick fights for his life on The Young and the Restless, Jack and Billy are dealing with problems in their business partnership. Billy's choices, especially teaming up with Cain, have caused major tension between them. Jack decides to end their partnership and pull his support. It's a tough decision, but Jack knows he can't support Billy's risky moves. Their relationship is badly damaged, and it doesn't look like they'll make up anytime soon. Even though Carter says he had nothing to do with Damien's murder, fans shouldn't believe the case is solved just yet. More suspects and twists are still coming. With each new episode, more secrets are revealed, and it seems like Carter may not be the only one hiding something. The mystery on The Young and the Restless is far from finished, and things are only getting more dangerous. In the recent episode of the CBS soap opera, The Young and the Restless, aired on July 23, 2025, Kyle told Victor he knew about the plan to break him and Claire up, but Victor brushed him off and focused on a bigger issue. Chance told Victor that Carter's actions didn't add up, and Victor feared Carter might be programmed to kill. Meanwhile, Nick and Sharon stayed locked in the attic. Sharon calmed down, and together they found old items that gave clues about Cain's wealth and the history of the estate. They began to suspect there was more to the property than they thought. In the garden, Phyllis was caught spying on Audra and Lily. She defended Cain and Nick while pointing the finger at Audra. Inside, Amanda and Cain argued over the security footage. Neither trusted the other, and Cain still refused to let Nick and Sharon go, wanting to use them as leverage. Kyle, on The Young and the Restless, found Victor and called him out for using Audra to ruin his relationship with Claire. He said the plan didn't work, and that he still loved Claire and planned to move in with her. Victor didn't admit to anything and walked away to handle Nick and Sharon's situation. Nikki, who overheard, was shocked and denied being part of the scheme. Later on, The Young and the Restless, Victor spoke to Chance about Nick and Sharon being held at the estate. Chance said Cain had no right to keep them there, but doubted he would listen. They also talked about Carter. While Cain's assistant said Carter was in bed during the incident, a groundskeeper said Carter had already been up and asked for help with an accident. Victor began to suspect Carter might be programmed to kill, possibly to protect Cain. In the garden on The Young and the Restless, Lily and Audra heard a noise and found Phyllis hiding nearby. Phyllis admitted she was listening, but said she didn't believe Cain or Nick could be murderers. She pointed the finger at Audra instead, saying anyone could seem guilty if the story was twisted. Lily still blamed Cain, but Phyllis asked her to think twice. Inside, Amanda saw Cain watching security footage and accused him of deleting it. Cain fired back, accusing her of doing the same. They argued, with neither trusting the other. Amanda finally got Cain to consider that Nick might not be guilty. Still, Cain refused to let Nick and Sharon go, wanting to use them as leverage. Nick and Sharon were still trapped in the attic, but grew closer as they worked together. Sharon felt better after her panic attack, and they searched the room for clues. They found old photos and papers showing the estate once belonged to a winemaking family. Nick guessed the maze outside was built over an old vineyard. They started to wonder how Cain got the property, and if his wealth had a darker source. With no way out yet, they knew they had to act fast. Nick gave Sharon a wire from a champagne bottle, and she tried to pick the lock, hoping they could escape soon. The Young and the Restless spoilers and updates reveal that Y&R's head writer and executive producer, Josh Griffith, recently discussed the conclusion of the France storyline. As more peril looms before the characters head back to Genoa City, let's delve into Griffith's insights from a recent interview with Soap Opera Digest. To begin with, Josh Griffith revealed that the inspiration for this story came from Murder on the Orient Express, although he didn't limit his characters solely to the train. Fans have also been treated to the maze, garden, dining area, and numerous other beautiful locations on Cain Ashby's summer estate. This plot was crafted as an exhilarating way to uncover Aristotle Dumas' true identity and to bring Cain back into the narrative, all while linking him to several important figures. Of course, a bit of murder and chaos was essential for the sake of drama, which meant that Cain had to be eliminated. With the chaos now unleashed, Josh Griffith has assured us that even more danger is on the horizon, and the story's not nearly over yet. Viewers can certainly anticipate more frights and injuries as this storyline unfolds towards its climax. It's fair to say that danger remains significantly present, placing our main characters in considerable peril, Griffith hinted. Although Lily Winters is directing her anger and all the accusations at Cain regarding Damien's fate, there remains a glimmer of hope for their relationship moving forward. Griffith commended the chemistry between Billy Flynn and Crystal Khalil on screen before teasing about the upcoming developments for their characters, which fans will undoubtedly find intriguing. Naturally, audiences are curious about what lies ahead for Cain, Lily, and the rest, once the chaos in Nice has finally subsided. Despite Cain and Lily's tumultuous past, they had a sweet love story. It's about time that Lily had a love story that lasts over the past few years. She's had failed romances with Billy Abbott, Daniel Romalotti, and now Damien's death. Like Lily and Daniel, Lily and Cain share a past but as young adults, not as teenagers, and have 2 grown children. Once everyone is back at GC, Griffith emphasized that new challenges await, particularly for Cain.